Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Duane Toews talks with Perry Briggs from Frontier Farm Credit about why getting into agriculture today is so much different than 20 to 30 years ago. Next up, Greg Akagi brings us the Kansas soybean update. Then Kyle Bauer talks with Chip Schilling from BASF about butterflies. Find out why BASF is taking steps to help with the preservation of monarch butterflies and why it's important to farmers. Next, we'll find out what's going on around the state with the Kansas Farm Bureau update. And to wrap up, it's Plain Talk with Kyle and Duane. It's all coming up on Farm Factor. Stay tuned.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor. Up first today, Duane Toews visits with Perry Briggs about how young producers are able to get help to start up their own operation.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Perry Briggs with Frontier Farm Credit. Perry, talk a little bit about the realities of agriculture today. It's a much more capital-intensive business than what it was a few decades ago.
Yeah, Dwayne, it really is, and you and I were just visiting about this, but what it takes to get into the industry sure is different than what it took probably 20 or 30 years ago. While it is more capital-intensive, there's still a lot of opportunities and programs out there to help young producers get involved, how they can start, how they can do it in the right way so they don't put themselves up for too big of an uphill battle that they can't overcome. So while it is capital intensive, there's still plenty of opportunities out there.
We think about it, a lot of times we kind of felt like if you weren't born into it and had a family legacy, you really weren't going to find a place in agriculture. But we've gotten more creative and different types of operations from doing some work off farm to go along with that to help lessen the cost of the equipment and the machinery that we're looking at.
Yeah, we see more and more of that today. So if someone wants to come and be involved in a family farm operation, even then, if it's an established operation, generally they got to find a way to add some cash flow to that operation because there might be just enough to support the family that's already there. So we're seeing more livestock facilities go into place, maybe some confined feeding for poultry or swine or even cattle. There's some opportunities to add some income through those routes. But also we see some people finding some ways to be involved in agriculture through maybe whether it's seed sales or cattle procurement, things like that. People are finding different opportunities to have some off-farm support as they try to build their operations as well. So
it's almost like a new diversification process. We used to think about it in terms of the farmstead having a multiple species of livestock and a different array of crops. Now maybe we look at it from a diversification of income revenue sources as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think we know for anybody that's wanting to jump into agriculture and be involved right away, we want to make sure they're doing the right things for them. Sometimes a farm, you build your off-farm employment first and then start to farm on the side, and then you can eventually start to build up and flip-flop that at some point. It's what the challenges we run into at times is in rural communities, what employment opportunities are available for them to do that. But people have to find certain niches they can bring back to those communities, and we're finding people that can fill some of those holes.
Think about the opportunities. Connectivity is a big buzzword right now about who has access to reliable data streams and not. Certainly will make a difference in some respects in that avenue of trying to do that. But ultimately it comes back to, when we talk about lenders and borrowers, that bond, that communication process, that relationship really is key to success.
It's very key. I've been given this message for the last 2 or 3 years, is that as a lender in Farm Credit or any community lender, we're on part of your team. We want to be on your side. We don't want to be seen as a barrier that's keeping you from achieving what you want to achieve. We want to be there to help you achieve what you want to achieve. So that being said, that takes communication and trust by both sides. We want to make sure we understand people's plans. The better plans they have, the better they've thought through their expansion plans, their cash flows, their budgets, their options for the year. The more they have those conversations with their lenders, then the more upfront those conversations can be, when the transparency really sets people up to be more successful. So we encourage people to work with their lender as somebody that's part of their team, not necessarily somebody that they're battling to overcome.
Well, our thanks to Perry Briggs joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Dwayne. After the break, it's this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay tuned.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Ed Anderson, Executive Director of the North Central Soybean Research Program, is joining us. And Ed, as we all know, soybean producers really look at programs, and especially for Kansas, but research is also a very important component in all of this as well.
We're very proud of the fact that Kansas soybean farmers, along with a lot of soybean farmers across the Midwest and across the country, realized a long time ago that investing in research for the short term and the long term was going to bring them great value. And producing a high-quality, low-cost product that is reliable.
Because that's the ability then to pool those resources and to be aggressive as far as research is concerned.
Soybean challenges and opportunities in production don't start and stop at state lines. And so about 27, 28 years ago, commissions and boards and associations across the Midwest got together and formed the North Central and decided that, as you say, if they pool their financial resources, if they pool their leadership, if they bring the brightest and best researchers from all of the land-grant universities across the Midwest to bear on problems and opportunities for them, they're going to get good things done currently. And for the last several years, this pool of resources has been somewhere in the range of $4 million a year. And then those funds, by these talented researchers at the universities like Kansas State, they're able to leverage those checkoff funds with competitive grants and company private sector contributions. And so it ends up being a much larger investment than just the $4 million.
Can you give an example of some of the current research that's going on right now?
One project that I'd like to highlight in particular that Kansas and others are very interested in is the soybean gall midge. And this is an insect pest that is really emerging as a potentially devastating problem. When we first started seeing the problem significantly a couple of years ago, farmers from Kansas and other members of the North Central Soybean Research Program got together and said, you know what, we need to address this. So they contract funded a number of researchers, entomologists, technologists in the area, and there's tremendous progress being made.
Not only do you have funding from the Kansas Soybean Commission, you have a Kansan who's been a longtime member of your board.
Ron Oldie serves on the Kansas Commission and has represented Kansas quite well on the North Central Board for a number of years. And Ron brings a respect for research. He brings a broad understanding of the soybean industry, certainly his own operation and the soybean production operation of many in the state.
That is Ed Anderson, Executive Director of the North Central Soybean Research Program, who joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Coming up next on Farm Factor, Kyle Bauer talks to Chip Schilling with BASF and explains what they're doing to preserve butterflies.
SureCrop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for that grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. SureCrop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is SureCropFertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@SureCropFertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer and work with you.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
This segment brought to you by SureCrop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Let's go to Kyle Bauer, who is with Chip Schilling from BASF, to learn about the importance of protecting the monarch butterfly.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I get an opportunity to visit with Chip Schilling with BASF, and we're going to be talking about butterflies, as in monarch butterflies. BASF has made a huge investment in trying to enhance the number of monarch butterflies. Why do I, as a farmer, care about that?
Well, I mean, one part is it's biodiversity on your farm, and we see that biodiversity are a lot of what people are talking about, and this is an easy way for you to really reestablish or protect the milkweed habitat that you might have, to provide that area where they can live, thrive, survive, regenerate year over year.
Well, certainly a few years ago, they were blaming the reduction in monarch butterflies with a lot of the newer technologies that we had in agriculture, and that really wasn't fair. It wasn't true, and a lot of us were afraid they were going to take that away from us.
They are. So, I mean, there's no one single cause. So you have milkweed availability is absolutely critical, but you also have what are the food sources that you have? Are there severe weather events? Do you also have the overwintering habitat down in Mexico? So all those factors combined really have caused the decline. But like you said, it's not easy to pinpoint one versus the other. That's the reason behind it.
Truly, one thing you are working heavily on is bringing back the milkweed. And I'll be honest with you, on our farm, I think I was as guilty as anyone on taking out milkweed. The new technologies were available to take those out. I had no idea that the Monarch Butterfly cared about the milkweed. I wasn't trying to make it bad on them, but I did reduce the milkweed numbers tremendously on our farm.
It is, and that's part of the reason that we're out here, is provide information and answer those questions. So if a farmer says, well, is milkweed going to take over my fields, I just ask the simple question, have you had a problem with it in the past? And most people come back and say, no, really, I don't have that problem. I've got the tools in my toolbox that allow me to control my fields. What we really talk about is where can it thrive and survive outside of your field boundaries. So think about your ditches, your roadways, around your shop, where, again, you don't have to pay to manage it, but you can allow these native species to really do the job that they're supposed to do, is provide that food source for monarchs.
One day, here a flat of milkweed showed up at my place, and you were expecting me to plant them. I don't remember where I signed up, but I must have, and so I did. I planted them, and about 2/3 of them made it.
They do. So we do this every year. This is year number 4 for us, where we give away 1,000 flats of either swamp milkweed or butterfly milkweed. So if you were interested in receiving it, you can go to milkweedplease.com, sign up there. The milkweed ships the second week of May, hopefully after the last frost. And that way you can have an opportunity to get it established, make sure it comes back year after year. So you're providing and creating new habitat for the monarch.
Well, when I was planting it, I live on the edge of town, had some people walk by. They asked what I was doing, and I said I was planting milkweeds. They said why, and I said for the Monarch Butterfly. And I looked like a very responsible person for the environment just by doing that little bit of work. And actually, everybody's been interested all year about how they came out and if I've seen more monarchs.
Exactly, and so it spurs the conversation, and that's part of it. I had a guy here earlier today. He said, yeah, 2 years ago I got milkweed, and he brought his 3 friends back that wanted to do it. So it is part of the conversation when you get that snowball effect of, I had one person that's interested, you had a conversation with maybe 5 or 10 of your neighbors, and they sit there and say, well, what can I do around my property? So part of that whole thing is, it's easy, they can see it's not causing you any problems on your farm. What can I do? And that's one of the reasons I think why we've seen that shift of people thinking about milkweed's a trouble weed. No, it's not. I can control it. And what can I do around my property to provide that habitat?
How do we know if we're making improvement? How do we know if we're helping any?
So the one time per year that we're able to do an estimate of what the population is every winter. So every winter in Mexico, they count the number of roosts in the Oymel fir forest and calculate the total number of acres that are covered. So that's really the one way in which they can do it. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to count individual butterflies throughout the country. But that's where they can sit there and say, are we making a dent? Are we providing, are things going right where you are seeing that population increase year over year? Last year, it was a 10-year high, so that's what we want to see. Our hope is that when the population numbers again are either at the same level or maybe above. But we also know, because it's an insect, it's got great migration. It may not, you're going to see ups and downs. What we want to see is a long-term trend that says things are going in the right direction.
We're visiting with Chip Schilling. He's with BASF, and we've been talking Monarch Butterflies. This is Kyle Bauer reporting from San Antonio.
Thanks, Kyle. Come back after the break for the Kansas Farm Bureau update.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except for when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. He said, well, I have to do surgery. I thought, I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau Update.
I'm Britton Rucker, and this is Ag AM in Kansas. I am at the 2020 Young Farmers and Ranchers Conference, and with me now is Scott Bellman. Scott, really, what was your role at the conference?
So, I was there on behalf of Kansas Farm Bureau competing with the Achievement in Agriculture Award. And so in 2018, I was awarded the Kansas Young Farmer and Rancher of the Year Award at the 2019 conference for Kansas Young Farmer and Ranchers. And so I was basically just competing on the national level for that with the Achievement Award.
Yeah.
So while I was there, I had already submitted my application, but then basically was there to interview and then network with all these other great individuals from around the country who were also competing for the Achievement Award.
Yeah, so Scott, what is your background in the ag industry and how did you get to where you are today?
That's a great question. So I'm a first generation farmer. I didn't grow up on a farm, neither did my parents, and so we moved out to the country when I was just a young kid and basically started riding around in a truck with an old rancher who we rented the ground to, and before I knew it, I had fallen in love with agriculture. And so in junior high, I saved up money working at a sweet corn farm, bought my first square baler, an old junky square baler, and started a hay business. So flash forward a few years, we started growing vegetables while I was in school up in Iowa. And you know, today we grow about 50 acres of organic and conventional vegetables, do a lot of hay and alfalfa, and then a number of organic row crops too. And then we also run a distribution business for Amish and English growers of produce and fruit. So we primarily distribute around Northeast Kansas, Kansas City, but then also have reach into Wichita, Colorado, and beyond.
Well, a big thank you to Scott Bellman for being at the 2020 Young Farmers and Ranchers Conference here in Manhattan. I'm Britton Rucker, and this is Ag AM in Kansas.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are chatting about today on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk. Talk with the guy who always says there's always free cheese in a mousetrap, Dwayne Toews.
It's there for the opportunity.
Yeah, a little free cheese there. Man, we had a mouse about 2 or 3 months ago in our house that was like
super stealth.
He was, yeah, I guess. Okay, my wife freaked a little bit. We have a candy drawer.
Yeah.
And she was in there getting her candy, and no, she did not grab the mouse. But she came onto a package of candy that a mouse had eaten into.
Had nibbled a little corner off.
Gotten in there, and so she went after the mouse with a vengeance.
As most women of the house will.
And she couldn't find her mousetrap because, quite honestly, since we moved to the house we're in now, we've had almost no mice there.
Okay.
So she went and got some new mice traps. The old kind. They just whack and kill them.
Right. She went the humane route.
I agree. That is the humane route. But it was too small a mouse for the size of the trap I get. Wouldn't spring it. He would eat everything out of it, cleaner than a whistle.
Not trip
it. So then she went and got the sticky stuff.
Right.
That they run across it and
then
sticks
they get
them.
Stuck and
that's why I said, what are we going to do with this mouse when you catch him on that sticky stuff?
Yeah.
And you're going to throw him outside, and it's like you're going to let him just starve to death outside? And it's like, we can't do that.
Right.
Well, we didn't have to worry about that because we're sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden, inside the drawer, she had taken all the candy out, of course, heard this terrible racket, just boom, 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 pop.
Really?
He had gotten his tail on the sticky stuff, and he was running around inside that drawer with that little sticky trap, slapping around there, and then he ran across the trap that whacked him.
Oh, the other
So
trap.
I didn't have to worry about the humane thing. But I thought, that is sticky stuff. I mean, it absolutely caught the end of his tail. I bet the last half inch of his tail. But I'm thinking, good thing he was in a drawer. I mean, if that was in a house,
he'd have taken off.
How far would he have run with this big sticky thing on, and where would he have stopped?
Your fact or fiction question of the day. There are over 1,000 lightning strikes a day on planet Earth. Fact or fiction?
Well, 10,000 would be over 1,000, so I'm going to go with fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like 1,000 in Florida alone, I think.
100 a second.
There you go.
There's a lot of seconds in a day.
It's a big world.
It's amazing. That much electricity around.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever been somewhere and you could feel the static electricity in the air?
I have not. I hear it's the most eerie feeling ever. Your hair stands up on the back of your neck, but I have never had that happen.
I would say that would probably be a good time to head for cover.
Yeah, well, they say hit the deck, and so that way when it strikes you, you don't fall down and hurt yourself.
Well, at least not bad.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.